In the fourth video of our farewell tour for the old SAT, we're going to look at a video from the Grammar Tactics series covering a really important topic that I've covered in other videos, but bears repeating because it's something that comes up so often that you just need to know this error, and it's the comma splice. So what I'm going to show you in this video is a bunch of practice questions that feature this error. Before you watch my solution to a particular question, as always, pause the video, try the question yourself first, and then watch my solution. So let's check out some comma splices. Another major sentence structure issue that you're going to see both in questions and in choices is the comma splice. And this one is really tough to see for a lot of students, mainly because many students themselves use comma splices when they write. So be very much on the lookout for comma splices, both in questions and in choices. So let's look at some examples. Many psychologists do not use hypnosis in their practices. It is because they know very little about it and are wary of it as a result. So notice, comma separating two independent clauses, two complete sentences, that's a comma splice. So A is off the table. We need a way to connect the two sentences. Many psychologists do not use hypnosis in their practices because they know very little about it and are therefore wary of it. There we go. And the SAT likes because, as we're going to see in a later video. They really like because it nicely ties together two clauses in a neat way. And nothing else wrong with B, so that looks good. Many psychologists do not use hypnosis in their practices for the reason that they know very little about it with resulting wariness. That's awkward, wordy, we can get rid of C. Many psychologists do not use hypnosis in their practices because of knowing very little about it, and therefore they are wary of it. So actually we have kind of a run-on sentence, because we don't have a comma here, and also it's generally wordier. It doesn't really improve on A or B that much, so D is off the table. Many psychologists do not use hypnosis in their practices. Their knowledge of it being very little results in wariness of it. So this is an awkward, horrible mess for many reasons. So the best choice left is choice B. Let's go ahead and check next one. The sales assistant arranged the gems on the counter. He proceeded to tell us about the origins of each stone. So this is a classic comma splice. Complete sentence, separated with just a comma. So A is off the table. The gems, which were arranged on the counter by the sales assistant, who proceeded to tell us about the origins of each stone fragment, right? No main sentence, no main verb there. The gems were first arranged on the counter by the sales assistant, then proceeded to tell us about the origins of each stone. So again, comma splice, just not well put together. After arranging the gems on the counter, the sales assistant proceeded to tell us about the origins of each stone. Yeah, so this one doesn't preserve this as an independent clause. It actually makes it subordinate, makes it a prepositional clause, prepositional phrase, modifying the sales assistant. So that's good. That's a fine way to fix it. The sales assistant, having arranged the gems on the counter, he proceeded to tell us. So this is a fragment, messed up choice. Best choice here is D. Let's check out this next one. The African tsetse fly does not need a brain. Everything it has to do in life is programmed into its nervous system. Again, complete sentence, just separated with a comma. So A is off the table. The African fly does not need a brain due to everything which it has to do in life is programmed into its nervous system. So awkward, wordy, not a great way to combine them. The African fly does not need a brain, for everything it has to do in life is programmed into its nervous system. Yep, for is one of those fanboy conjunctions, and it's with a comma and the conjunction. That's a perfect way to put together two sentences. The fly does not need a brain, since everything it has to do in life is programmed. So here, since, comma, does not make any sense. You could have however, or moreover, or therefore, or consequently, one of those kind of adverbial words, but you can't have since. That doesn't work here. The African tsetse fly does not need a brain, whereas everything it has to do in life is programmed into its nervous system. So, again, not a great way to put together two clauses. We don't really do it with whereas, and there might even be a run-on sentence. So the best choice here is for sure C. Although the kings and queens of England are considered Canada's monarchs, true political power lies with the Prime Minister. That person is elected by the Canadian citizenry. Again, complete sentence, separated with a comma. So, comma splice. Although the kings and queens of England, okay, so we can really ignore this because this is not really relevant. True political power lies with the Prime Minister. The person who holds true political power, the person who holds true political power is the Prime Minister, which is elected by the Canadian citizenry. Well, no, which is going to apply, again, not to a person. You'd have to use who here. So not which, but who. So that's a pronoun error. You can get rid of B. True political power lies with the Prime Minister, who is elected by the Canadian citizenry. Yeah, this looks good. The Prime Minister, the source of true political power, elected by the Canadian citizenry. So that's very awkward and strange. So we can get rid of D. How about E? True political power is with the prime minister and is elected. Well, that doesn't make sense. Political power isn't elected. It's the prime minister who's elected. So we can get rid of E. Best choice for this one is C. All right, number 10. Santa Fe is one of the oldest cities in the United States. Its adobe architecture, spectacular setting, and clear radiant light have long made it a magnet for artists. Be very careful whenever you see it coming right after the clause, because here, again, another comma splice. Complete sentence, just a comma separating them. So A is gone. Santa Fe, which is one of the oldest cities in the United States, its adobe architecture. So we have a fragment, no good for B. Santa Fe, which is one of the oldest cities in the United States, has adobe architecture, spectacular and setting, and clear radiant light have long made it a magnet for artists. So if you're not careful, if you don't read the end of the sentence, you'll think this is good, but this actually has one too many verbs. Santa Fe has these things, have long made it, so that's no good, too much. Santa Fe is one of the oldest cities in the United States. Its adobe architecture, spectacular setting, and clear radiant light have long made it a magnet for artists. Yep, so this connects the two sentences with a semicolon, which is a good way to fix the error. So it's used properly, so D looks good. What about E? Santa Fe, one of the oldest cities in the United States, and its adobe architecture, spectacular setting, and clear radiant light have long made it a magnet for artists. This one actually changes the meaning a little bit too much. And is it a fragment too? Let's see, Santa Fe, and it's just a bit awkward. Changing the meaning a little bit too much, doing too much to the sentence. D preserves the overall meaning and structure of the sentence only by changing the comma into a semicolon, right? So for that reason, we would prefer D over E, even though E is actually pretty close when you look at it. D maintains the most of the original, so we go with that one. Given the cost of a hardcover book, the price of it typically hovers around $25. Many consumers ask their book dealers, when will the paperback be out? So there's a lot of things going on with this one, a lot of messed up parts. But again, the main thing, comma splice, quasi-complete sentence, and a complete sentence separated with just a comma. Given the cost of a hardcover book, and typically it hovers at a price around $25, many consumers ask their book dealers, when will the paperback be out? So again, this one's a bit awkward as well. We would not really like it. We would rather have just something without it, because again, it's a dummy pronoun. Also, overall, just an awkward one. We can keep this for now, but not really a great choice. Given the cost of a hardcover book, which typically hovers around $25, many consumers ask their book dealers, when will the paperback be out? Yeah, so this is a relative clause. Describes the cost of the book as hovering around $25, and then goes right into the rest of the sentence. Eliminates the comma splice by having the participial phrase here, then the relative phrase, and then the rest of the sentence. So that looks good. Given the cost of a hardcover book, in that it typically hovers around $25, that's awkward, little bit wordy. Given the cost of a hardcover book, they typically hover around $25. Well, who is they? Comma splice, not really well put together, so C is the best answer here. Let's look at 7. A poetic form congenial to Robert Browning was a dramatic monologue. It let him explore a character's mind without the simplifications demanded by stage production. So this one again, complete sentence, comma. A poetic form congenial to Robert Browning was a dramatic monologue, which let him explore a character's mind without the simplifications demanded by stage productions. Yeah, so we changed the second into a relative clause, and now it's subordinate, and now we don't have any issues with the original, right? Now we know it's a independent clause with a subordinate or dependent clause, no comma splice. That looks good. A poetic form congenial to Browning was the monologue that lets him explore. So lets, that's present tense, we need it to be past tense. So for that reason, we can get rid of C. D looks like we're going to have a fragment because we have a semicolon, which is good, but then we have this fragment letting him explore a character's mind. We need a main verb complete sentence after the semicolon, so D is out. A poetic form congenial to Browning was the monologue by letting him do exploration of a character's mind. So that's long, wordy, awkward. B is the best choice. Last one, 5. The charges against the organization are being investigated by a committee. It includes several senators. So here, notice being is not underlined, and actually being is used okay here. So that's not the issue. But here, again, comma splice. Complete sentence, comma. The charges against the organization are being investigated by a committee, it including several senators. So that's awkward, unenigmatic, wordy. We're not going to go with that one. How about C? The charges against the organization are being investigated by a committee, and it will include several senators. So nothing grammatically wrong, but we would hope to find a shorter choice than that, because that's a bit long. Let's look at D. The charges against the organization are being investigated by a committee. They include several senators. So this one actually adds a new error because the it, which was correct originally when referring to the committee, which is singular, is now changed to they, and we still have the comma splice, so D is no good. The charges against the organization are being investigated by a committee that includes several senators. Yep, perfect. So get rid of C. It's a bit too long. E does the same work and does it shorter. All right, so overall, that's your comma splice. When you have a comma splice, either rearrange the sentences or add a conjunction or some other punctuation like a semicolon in order to make the two pieces fit together properly. To learn more about Reason Prep's SAT, SAT subject test, and ACT video courses, go to reasonprep.com/enroll, and you can find the link in the description below the video.